For all the best tips and strategies, check out the Ultimate Utility app. Links are available in the description. I've seen so many people use the counter-recon aircraft incorrectly in World War II that I felt it requires its own video. I'm going to be going over what the counter-recon can and can't do, as well as some ways to maximize its potential. Now, I'm sure a lot of people don't bother reading the in-game descriptions, but you really should note what it says about the counter-recon. It states it's a fighter that destroys an enemy recon aircraft or counter-recon aircraft, or blocks enemy recon aircraft. So right there it tells you all three things it's capable of doing. But still, there's a lot of misinformation out there regarding the counter-recon plane. And that stems from prior Call of Duty games. This streak is more or less the counter-UAV of World War II, but at the same time, it isn't. In previous games, the counter-UAV would disable the minimap whether a UAV was up or not. Of course, it was still more beneficial for you to use it during an enemy's UAV. But it wasn't a complete waste if there wasn't one, since it still scrambled the minimap. So it may come as a surprise to many of you, but the counter-recon aircraft does not affect the enemy's minimap in any way whatsoever. It has no scrambling properties at all. And speaking of things it doesn't do, let's take a look at our first misinformed post. All these quotes I'm about to showcase come from the official Call of Duty World War II subreddit. Now the witch doctor says, counter UAV. Name says it all, really. You do get counter UAV assists, which are like UAV assists. Likewise, Rat Jedi says you get counter UAV assists when it's up. Now both of these guys are 100% wrong. Comments like these are how wrong information gets spread like wildfire. People doing absolutely no research and spouting off pure rubbish. The counter recon aircraft does not reward you any assist points whatsoever. You can put one up and have teammates get 50 kills and you'll get absolutely no points. Now next, I stumbled upon this quote by 1M the Dude Man. The counter shoots down a UAV and a care package plane. Again, this is false. Well, at least 50% of it. To prove this, we first need to look at exactly what the counter recon plane is capable of. If there's no enemy recon aircraft in the sky, the counter recon will last for 30 seconds, provided it doesn't get shot down, of course. And during this time, the enemy can't call in a recon plane at all. They'll receive a message that says enemy counter-recon aircraft active. And even if you can't see or hear the counter-recon plane, you'll still know if the enemy has one up by the little red icon that appears to the right of your minimap. As long as the streak is active, it'll be displayed for you there. If you call the counter-recon in yourself, or one of your teammates calls one in, you'll see a green icon in the same spot. Now that was just when the skies are empty. If there's already an enemy recon plane in the sky and you call in a counter recon, the enemy recon will tuck its tail and try to run like a willy wink and wiswog. But the counter recon doesn't stand for black sock wearing show-offs and instantly blows it up. And you'll be rewarded 150 points for this. This is the effect most people tend to overlook, but we'll talk more about that in a second. Now that quote I read a bit ago stated that the counter recon can shoot down a care package plane. As you can see here, I have my enemy call in both an emergency airdrop and a normal care package, and then I call in my own counter recon. It does absolutely nothing. In fact, I tried to test the counter recon against other streaks as well, such as the paratroopers. Again though, as you can see, the counter recon does nothing against the paratroopers aircraft. Although, one of the paratroopers displays how quickly you can decimate one with an LMG, as he instantly takes out my streak. I also tried the fighter pilot against the counter recon, but they didn't interact at all. One other streak the counter recon can take out though is another counter recon. So watch here as the enemy already has a counter recon up, which prevents me from calling in my own recon. I then switch to my own counter recon and call it in. An aerial dogfight ensues and my counter takes out his counter. I should note that the moment you see a counter recon engage in battle, you'll be able to call in your own recon again. In fact, if we watch that clip again, the moment I call in my own counter recon, the red symbol next to the minimap goes away before my counter recon even enters the map. As soon as you see the icon disappear, you'll be able to call in recons again. So to sum that all up, the counter recon aircraft can only take out a recon plane or another counter recon plane. That's it. Next, I have one more misinformed quote here. By the way, 3685 wants to know, does it stay up in the air after it shoots down one plane? or does it go away? And then someone named Lights Out replies with, it stays up the normal duration of the counter UAV. And once again, this is completely wrong. Let's take a look at an example. I have my friend Jeremy call in 2 recon planes. I then call in my counter recon. You can see that it engages one of the 2 recons and destroys it, giving me the 150 points in the process. However, it doesn't come back. It's a one and done deal. So not only does it not stay up the normal duration after shooting down an aircraft, it can only shoot down 1 per use. So that's exactly what the counter recon plane can do. It can cock block the enemy for 30 seconds from calling in recon planes if the skies are clear when you call it in. It can also instantly take out an enemy recon plane or an enemy counter recon plane, but only 1 each life. At no point during its use will it reward you with any assist points. Now most people I see use the counter recon planes call it in instantly. They either assume that it does give assist points or that it scrambles the enemy's minimap. And to me, this is the incorrect way to utilize the counter recon plane. While yes, it does prevent the enemy from using the recon streak, it still allows them to call it in afterward, which means you essentially wasted your own streak. One exception to this would be at the end of a game, such as here in this free-for-all match. I'm about to win, so I call in my counter recon to ensure that no one gets a UAV to knock me off my throne. The true way to use the counter recon is by waiting until an enemy calls one in, and then calling yours in to get the 150 points and actually destroy the recon plane in the process. Of course, there's also a drawback here. If you're a solid player and your enemies are wank on the cob, there's never going to be a correct time to use it. Your enemy won't be earning recon planes, and you'll just be sitting on your streak the entire match. Even if you do call it in, you don't get rewarded any points, and you're not stopping anyone from calling in recons if they're not earning them to begin with. Unfortunately, that makes this streak more or less worthless for a skilled player. So the truth is, the counter recon is barely a shadow of its former self in this game. The armed aircraft only has enough ammo to take down 1 recon at a time. This means that with multiple enemy recons, the counter recon fails at its one job it had. I do think that there's a way to fix this issue though, but it's probably too late for Sledgehammer Games to consider changing it. Still though, hear me out on these. I think the counter recon should do one of 2 things. A, I think it should keep shooting aircraft down and should not block the enemy from calling in recons. Now some people may say this would be overpowered since you do get 150 points per plane destroyed. However, as I outlined in this very video, the game gives you ample warning that a counter recon is in the sky, including the red icon near the minimap. If an enemy player is dumb enough to call in a plane while you have one active, it's their own fault. Or B, the counter recon should make a bunch of random red dots appear on an enemy's minimap. It's counterintelligence, so I think it should sabotage the enemy's minimap, much like the decoy tactical grenade in the original Black Ops game. Either of those 2 things would make this score streak much more useful. I do understand why they made it the way they did, in particular it not disabling the enemy's minimap. That technology obviously wasn't available during World War II, and they were intent on realism for a lot of features in this game. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of the counter recon plane in its current state. Were you aware that it didn't give assist points, that it could only destroy 1 plane, or that it even took out recons or counter recons at all? The next time you see some newbie booby call in a counter recon plane when the skies are empty, just direct them to this video.